Hey guys, I'm Regina and I'm starving. So lately I have been craving, like absolutely craving meatballs. So go get you a glass of wine and come back and make some meatballs with me. So let me tell you guys what you're gonna need in order to make meatball subs as well as pasta and meatballs. First up, you need some spinach, a green pepper, garlic, an onion, mushrooms, ground beef, ground chicken, tomatoes, basil, diced tomatoes, as well as tomato paste and your favorite buns and your favorite pasta. Now, if you are someone who don't eat beef, that is absolutely okay. You don't have to use the beef. You can substitute the beef with turkey and you can make chicken and turkey meatballs, or you can just make turkey meatballs, or you can just make chicken meatballs. This is really versatile. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chop our veggies and then I'll be back. So first, I'm gonna take my wedding ring off, because the last thing you want to do is have raw meat mixed in with your diamonds. You don't want that. So first, we're gonna take the ground beef, put that in our bowl. We're gonna take the ground chicken. We're gonna take some of our onions, some of our green peppers, about half. Your breadcrumbs, just dump that right in there. A couple of pieces of garlic. Then we're gonna take one egg, crack it carefully. You wanna make sure you don't get any shells in your mixture. And then you're just gonna blend it all together. Don't be afraid to touch it. It doesn't feel the best. It does feel kind of gross, but if you're afraid to touch your own food, what makes you think somebody will want to eat your food? Okay? So you're gonna mix all of that in. I'm mixing with one hand because I want to be able to spin my bowl without contaminating my bowl with the residue of the raw meat. We're gonna mix all of that in. And when you're done mixing, it should all be blended together like so. So now I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna make. And the reason I never was a fan of meatballs is because we never really had them growing up. My family really didn't make spaghetti and meatballs or meatball subs or anything like that. When it came to spaghetti, it was spaghetti and meat sauce. So my mom would take the ground beef and just cook it in a pan and just put the spaghetti sauce on it, and you put the meat and the sauce on top of your spaghetti. That's how we ate it. And then when I was about 22, I was introduced to meatballs. Just gonna break a piece off, depends on how big or how small you want them. And then you're going to just put them in your hand and make a ball. Roll it around and make a ball. So when I was about 22, I got invited to a baby shower. So everybody know in the Black community, the star of the baby shower is barbecue meatballs. So I never really had meatballs before. So the host of the party was like, oh my gracious, oh my God, you're gonna love my mom's meatballs. I'm like, okay, I'm game. I'll taste them. And they look good. Who doesn't like barbecue? And this is ground beef. So how bad could it really be? So I picked the meatball up with a fork. You guys know how the baby shower food is. And I bit into it. Y'all, I felt so bad because it took everything in me not to spit the meatball back out. The reason I didn't like it was because the first bite had a big chunk of grape jelly in it. I don't know about y'all, but I just feel like meatballs don't need jelly. It was not a good flavor. It wasn't a good texture. It wasn't for me. And after that, I had no interest in meatballs again. Because in my mind, all meatballs had grape jelly in it. And it wasn't until I got married that I started playing with meatballs. Because my wife is a foodie. So although it's things that she eats that I don't eat, I feel like it's very important that as a wife, I still know how to cook those things. So she wanted some meatballs one day and I said, I'm gonna make some meatballs. And I'm gonna do it the way I think it would taste right. So I kind of had the idea of meatloaf in mind. Like, how do you cook meatloaf? It shouldn't be that far. And I played around with it a couple of times. And after maybe 3 or 4 failed attempts, I got the perfect meatball recipe. And if you want this recipe step by step, you can log on to my website, www.tellerhomemade.net, and try it out and tell me how you like it. My friends love it. So I'm gonna keep making these balls, and then we're gonna fry them up, and then I'm gonna show you guys how I make my marinara sauce, aka Getty sauce. Make sure you don't crowd your pan because you want to be able to spin your meatballs around to make sure all sides are brown. You're going to need some olive oil. I'm using peppercorn herb by Teller Homemade. I know. I'm stealing product from the store, but since I'm the owner, I can do that, yo. I can do that. So we're going to pull a little bit in the bottom of our pan. I'm also using Tuscan by Teller Homemade. This is a blend of basil, chili peppers, dried tomatoes, parsley, garlic, and some other goodness. Again, I'm taking product from the store, but since I'm the owner, I can do that. And the last spice blend we're going to use is herb parmesan by Teller Homemade. So, open your can of tomatoes and you're going to pour it right in your pan. I really don't purchase canned goods like that because typically they have a lot of sodium in it and other chemicals. That's why they are able to be on the shelf for so long. A lot of people have this assumption that it's just water in the can, and it's not. It's other stuff. So when I first started to only eat fresh, no canned goods, no preservatives, nothing processed, I did an experiment. I purchased some fresh string beans and I canned them with just water. And I put them in the can and I kept it in the cabinet for maybe 3 months. because that's the typical time frame that your store has whatever that canned good is on the shelf. And when that 3 months was up, guess what was on them string beans? Fungus. We're gonna drop in our green peppers. And the reason it was fungus is because you gotta think about it. Vegetables grow out of the ground. They're not fish. They cannot live in a pool full of water. So how can you really convince me that that can that's been on your shelf for probably over a year and no telling how long it's been in the back room is really healthy for me? I don't trust it. I don't like chemicals, onions, and I just feel like when it comes to ingredients, if I can't pronounce it, it's not going in my body or my family's body. That's just how I feel. Garlic. Now we're going to open our mushrooms. These are sliced baby Bella mushrooms. We love mushrooms in this house. Just shake some on top. Mix that around a little bit. As so. We're going to shake some of our herb parmesan on top. We're going to now shake some of our Tuscan on top. Going to pop in a couple of basil leaves. Now, before you serve, just take the basil out. The basil really is to just add flavor to your marinara sauce. I personally don't eat it. Now, I'm going to pop this on the stove for about, and let it simmer for maybe 20 to 25 minutes. And then, at the very last minute, I'm going to add the spinach. We all know spinach shrinks, so just take a big handful and drop it in. Matter of fact, we're gonna drop in some ham. I put the meatballs in a pan and I poured the sauce on top. Then I'm gonna take some of our herb parmesan and I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top. And we're gonna pop this in the oven for maybe 15 minutes and then your meal is done, y'all. Dinner is done, y'all. Dinner is done. Don't it look delicious? Oh, look at that meatball. Yes, go on. Yes. Enjoy y'all week.